Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Label. I'm Ruby Sturt and I'm joined by Eric Marquette as usual. Today we're going deep into mental health for people with disabilities, a topic honestly way overdue if you ask me. Eric, it's kind of wild how this intersection is ignored so much, right?
Absolutely, Ruby, and glad we're finally putting the spotlight here. The statistics are pretty stark. Adults with disabilities experience frequent mental distress almost 5 times as often as those without disabilities. It's not just about the disability itself, it's about daily stresses, constant barriers, and, let's face it, the stigma attached to both disability and mental health. That overlap makes it doubly tough.
And what gets me is so much of it isn't just the physical stuff. Like, yes, pain and mobility challenges are massive, but it's also the way people treat you, the isolation, even microaggressions. You know, my mate Sam, he uses a wheelchair. He once told me about going from therapist to therapist, and none of them really got it. He wanted help with anxiety around mobility and public spaces, but they just sort of missed the mark. Kept trying to treat him like any other client without ever considering how big an impact that kind of anxiety is if your day starts the minute you leave your home, you know?
Yeah, and often the focus is so much on the main disability, doctors just forget the mental health side is just as crucial. And invisible disabilities, that's a huge piece. People facing chronic illness, neurodivergence, if you can't see it, it's like you have to prove you need help. That invisibility can be so isolating, and sometimes the support just isn't there because people aren't even acknowledging it.
Exactly. I mean, the amount of energy people with invisible disabilities spend just explaining or even justifying their needs is exhausting. And every time you get brushed off with, "But you look fine," that's a hit to your mental health, trust me. It really underlines why we can't treat mental health and physical health as two separate universes, especially in disability communities.
So, building on that, let's talk about actually finding and accessing support that fits those unique needs. We know traditional mental health services sometimes miss the mark, but there are organisations, helplines, even online platforms that really specialise for disabled individuals. One example, Disability Support Australia. They actually match folks with mental health professionals who have experience with different disabilities.
Yeah, and it's not just about finding the right match. It's also knowing what practical steps to take. Like if you need accommodations in therapy, a screen reader compatible telehealth system, or a sign language interpreter, it's totally okay to ask. Your access needs aren't extra, they're essential. And referrals? That process is a labyrinth. Sometimes you've got to persist to get past those gatekeepers, or have someone help advocate for you until you do.
I actually heard from one of our listeners, Alice, who's deaf. She tried online counselling but ran into block after block just getting real-time captioning. She connected with Disability Support Australia and finally found a counsellor who worked with interpreters and understood deaf culture. It took a few rounds to get that fit, but having an organisation in your corner really does help.
It makes all the difference. And let's not forget, there are helplines like the 988 Lifeline, NAMI Helpline, organisations like the ARC and Centres for Independent Living. So many people don't know they even exist. They're not just crisis lines, they'll help you plan out next steps, connect you with support groups, or talk you through those baffling pathways. Like, don't be shy to ring them, even if you're not in crisis.
And part of that advocacy is documenting your needs, asking questions, not being afraid to walk away if a provider just doesn't get it. Sometimes you have to push back or, as Ruby says, stir the pot a bit. Referral pathways are complex, but persistence pays off.
All right, let's get practical. What can you actually do day to day when your brain is just not having it? Not all self-care ideas are accessible to everyone, so it's about picking stuff that actually works for you. Like if your energy fluctuates, maybe it's a do what you can routine instead of pushing for a strict schedule. Peer support's big. For my cousin Jess, who's visually impaired, structured online peer groups were a bit of a revelation. She got to swap ideas and stories, and it really gave her confidence just being around people who got it.
And don't underestimate technology. There are meditation apps, but make sure they're actually accessible if you use a screen reader. Community forums like NICPAD or Special Olympics mindfulness sessions can be a gentle way to connect with others while also practicing those grounding strategies. Even just getting tips for accessible exercise or connecting via a messaging group, those bits of community help build resilience.
And it can be tiny interventions, turning off your notifications for an hour, breathing exercises, or even just taking breaks from doom scrolling. You don't have to meditate on a mountaintop. It's the little habits, like making time for a favourite podcast or a check-in chat, that create anchors. And for people whose mobility or stamina changes day to day, having a menu of options is way less stressful than a rigid routine.
Peer support, like you said, really can't be overstated. A lot of people find they can talk about things without judgment in those spaces, sometimes better than in official therapy. It can be so empowering when you realise, oh, I'm not the only one struggling with this. Self-care is just one piece though. Community really matters too. Inclusion isn't just a buzzword, it changes lives. Things like adaptive sports clubs, local disability-friendly events, or even accessible book clubs. These aren't just token initiatives. They create space for belonging and can do wonders for mental health. And there's something about knowing your community has your back, right, Ruby?
Totally. And if you're up for it, getting involved yourself, like helping organise or even showing up at those events, can spark more awareness in your area. Honestly, sometimes the biggest impact comes from grassroots stuff. Some of the most inspiring mental health improvements come from projects led by people with disabilities. Because who better to know what needs fixing? We've seen adaptive dance classes or even small workshops grow into something so much bigger. When you educate peers and employers on disability awareness, just by sharing your story or pushing for basic accessibility, you chip away at stigma a little more every time.
Yes, and that kind of community-led change is often what nudges policy and services in the right direction. It's not just about improving lives for individuals, but challenging the whole community to be more empathetic and better informed. It's like advocacy in action, sometimes in your own backyard.
But, and there's always a but, right? It doesn't stop at community. We have to talk systemic change. If your local area has policy consultations, petitions, or spaces for public feedback, get in there, share your story, send an email to a policymaker. Honestly, those data points and personal experiences are what drive funding and actual improvements in mental health support and accessibility standards. Don't underestimate your voice.
That's right. Policy change sounds intimidating, but it often starts with small actions. Signing a petition, participating in a focus group, or joining a coalition. Look for advocacy organisations, whether it's local, like your state's Disability Council, or national players like NAMI or AAPD. When individuals, organisations, and allies come together, they have far more traction to demand better integration of mental health and disability services. Coalitions can help shape more comprehensive strategies, not just another band-aid fix.
It all links back, doesn't it? Whether it's riding with your local transport to City Hall or posting about your experience on social media, you're shining a light where it's needed most. Systemic change is slow but real. Join forces when you can. It feels less overwhelming. And trust me, strength in numbers is a thing.
All of this threads together. So what can you, listening right now, do for your own advocacy and growth? It starts with clear communication. Practice saying what you need, even if it feels awkward. Keep records, set boundaries. Those are self-advocacy wins in themselves. And honestly, setting small, achievable mental health goals can build more confidence than aiming for some massive overhaul overnight. It's about progress, not perfection.
And don't forget, keep learning. Staying up to date on disability rights or mental health resources isn't just helpful in theory, it seriously boosts your resilience when new challenges pop up. Knowing your rights, knowing the supports out there, it helps remind you you're not alone in this. And when growth gets tough or slow, because let's be real, it does, that's totally normal. You're already one step ahead just by tuning in.
That's a great note to end on, Ruby. So thanks for joining us for this episode of Beyond the Label. If you found this useful, tell a friend or reach out. We love hearing your stories and questions.
Absolutely. Massive thanks to everyone listening. Take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and we'll catch you next time for more chats that matter. Cheers, Eric.
Thank you, Ruby. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.